I platinumed The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for the game's 10th anniversary, because I waited for so long that we're getting the goddamn Witcher 4. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt released on the 19th of May 2015 to critical acclaim, the winner of over 800 various game awards, praised as one of the greatest RPGs, if not just greatest games in general, of all time, and it's one that I finally got around to experiencing in 2025. I briefly tried this game 4 years ago and I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw, but my game kept having save issues and corruption problems, so I dropped it for that moment. Every year I kept getting reminded by certain people to play the game, and I always said that I would, but an RPG with over 100 hours of content is a pretty big commitment. It might get in the way of me playing Genshin Impact. However, the time was finally right for me to commit in 2025. The game got a PS5 upgrade, the 10th anniversary was coming up, and I was on the hunt for 42 platinum trophies. The stars had aligned, and I was going to step into the shoes of the Butcher of Blaviken.
Fuck.
To keep this video as focused as possible, I will be approaching this platinum video as more of a checklist than an overall journey / retelling, telling you how I got each and every trophy as I played through the game, and cutting out a lot of the middle ground, because this game has an utterly absurd amount of middle ground. Like, this is the ultimate RPG experience, rivaled only by Baldur's Gate 3. Anyways, I think I've made you wait long enough already. Let's do this. So, let's begin our playthrough, on the normal difficulty. Yes, I know, this is apparently a mistake. It'll amplify my total playthroughs from 1 to 2, as there are trophies for beating the game on hard mode and very hard mode. However, I think ultimately this was the correct decision, as I actually got to learn the very different gameplay style without banging my head on an impassable wall, and I can always just come back to Deathmarch later. I'd already played about 2 hours of the base game back in 2021, so the opening content was all quite familiar to me. I beat the tutorial without any worries, I followed the main quest to the first inn, and then I got my first trophy, Fist of the South Star, for winning a fist fight without taking damage. That was actually a missable trophy as well, so we're off to a good start. While visiting that inn, we also get introduced to GWENT, the most famous card game in video game history. Maybe until 2024 anyway.
These bags.
It's like Queen's Blood at a fundamental level. You put down cards to build your power points and you have to win 2 out of 3 rounds. It's a little difficult at first, but once you get more cards it becomes a lot easier, and I got the hang of it in a relatively quick time. Good thing too, because you better believe GWENT has associated trophies. Let me establish a quick rule for this entire trophy hunt. You must play GWENT at all possible opportunities. Meet a merchant? GWENT. Meet an important named character? GWENT. Someone's family member just died? Challenge them to GWENT.
In the mood for a round of Gwent?
I'm always in the mood for Gwent.
We need every unique card in the base game, all 120 of them, and you win them through dedicated Gwent questlines, random games during other questlines, and you also win 1 random card from every random NPC you defeat for the first time. So you better believe we need to defeat the vast majority of them in this game. This will haunt me, in ways I never thought possible. Even though it wasn't that bad compared to other trophies I've done in the past, this still stressed me out to levels I've not felt in quite some time. On a side note, do yourself a favor and stick with the Northern Realms deck for the rest of the game. It's the one you start with, it's the best, and there isn't really much debate on that front. After I got out of the inn, I then did my first Witcher contract, the Devil by the Well. This is one of the side quests that impressed me during my brief taster course back 4 years ago. After playing Skyrim for God knows how long, seeing a quest like this was a breath of fresh air. It's got no trophy tied to it directly, but we do need to beat every Witcher contract in the game eventually, so we may as well get started now. Seeing as this trophy, Geralt the Professional, is one that'll span the whole game, let me also break Witcher contracts down for you right now. A Witcher contract goes as follows. We find it on a notice board, visit the person in question, talk to the witnesses, examine the crime scenes, track down the monsters, handle them, and then return for our reward. The exact things we do in these contracts vary, as does the type of monster, to a quite impressive degree. Sometimes we'll even be able to spare the monster at the end for alternate rewards, and that fact alone is actually a surprise tool that'll help us later. But regardless, we're going to do all the contracts for the trophy Geralt the Professional, which includes all these special trophy related contracts as well. Note for the Woodland Spirit, make sure you choose the option to actually kill the thing or you're not getting a trophy. Right, that's all cleared up, we have the rules set for our playthrough. Let's carry on with the main game. Progressing further through the main story, we slay a griffin, then get engaged in yet another bar fight. I wonder if this will become a trend through the game. It's here where I got my second trophy, Butcher of Blaviken.
Fuck.
For killing 5 enemies in under 10 seconds. Wow, nothing livens up the drinking mood than some death and demolition, am I right? Stepping outside, we get yet another trophy, a main story one. Only took us a couple of hours. This is Yennefer of Vengerberg. Not quite Tifa Lockhart or Jill Warwick, but she's gothic and mysterious, so I was pretty sure that I would be in love by the end of the playthrough. Oh shit, it's the Ring Wraiths, or the White Walkers. Honestly, at this point I wasn't too sure who these guys were. I never played the other games or read the books, but I'm sure we'll see more of them later. After all, their name is on the front of the box. One quick meeting with the Emperor later, and we're given the basic premise of The Witcher 3. We need to find Ciri. To do this, we first go into Velen, which as it turns out is the primary landmass you'll be spending most of the game in. It's much bigger than the starting map of White Orchard, and it does not feel empty. Every corner has something to fight, find, or flee from, and for this platinum, we'd better find all of it, or at the very least, most of it. I ran around this land for a bit, progressed the story, chose to go on a side quest, and got curb stomped by a goddamn regenerating werewolf. As you do. My fault for daring to skip a few of the early game side quests. It was at this point that I chose to restart my entire playthrough, where I would now do every single level appropriate side quest I could, I would learn all that I could, and I would be a lot smarter with how I approached the game. In other words, I would play The Witcher 3 like The Witcher 3. A novel concept, I know. At this point it was the easier option, believe it or not. The playthrough from here on out, the fresh one, would then become my first full playthrough of the game, where I was wiser, braver, and just as unwilling to play on Death March straight away. And, as you'll see later, it was the correct decision. During my second run through of the tutorial, following the advice of a friend, I got another trophy. What was that? For attacking, countering, casting a sign, and throwing a bomb in any order in under 4 seconds. Special thank you goes out to that friend, because this is by far the easiest opportunity we would have to do that in the entire game. I did all the available side quests in White Orchard this time around to boost my level and experience, and I got back to where I was rather quickly, entering Velen and finding the spy that we were meant to meet. He's dead. To be expected, really. Now, we can either find a witch or find this bloody Baron, and I enjoy me a bit of alliteration, so I guess we're going to talk to this guy. Oh damn. He's looking about what I expected, to be honest. This begins the quest Family Matters, and this quest is where I discovered the true quality of The Witcher 3. You think this is going to be like Skyrim, where your choices hardly matter and everyone lives happily ever after? Where the objective is just go here, do a thing and come back? Oh no. This shit has layers. This quest has like 20 different stages, several branching paths, baby monsters born from miscarriages, family drama, ugly ass witches, flashbacks, and requires you to beat entirely different initially unrelated quest lines in order to complete it. And I loved it. It was incredible. But first things first, let's work our way through this properly. Talk to the Baron. Done. Examine the rooms. Done. Get suspicious that he's beating his wife. Done. Go to the Pala and find his goat. Done.
Bear, run, you son of shit.
Hope that he doesn't kill and or shag the goat. Done. Go back and beat up the Baron. Done. I also took advantage of his drunk ass to get a new trophy, Kaer Morhen Trained, performing 10 consecutive successful counterattacks. Lift the curse on a botchling, a monster born from a miscarriaged baby. Sure, why not? I am a witcher after all. Follow said monster's newly liberated spirit. Done. I found some nice peasants, and then found the Baron's daughter in Oxenfurt, which is one of the smaller cities you have access to. She doesn't want to come home, naturally, seeing as the Baron is actually a wife-beater. Sure, it's a bit deeper than that, but it's an undeniable fact that this dude is a dick. We then need to find the Baron's wife. Good luck with that. There's no marker for her, and that's because we need to go to an entirely different quest. Yeah, remember how we could either find the Baron or find the witch? Turns out that choice was kind of inconsequential because you must do both. Because this game's quest design is expansive and amazing. Oh yeah, I also got a trophy for reading some books. And one for reading some formulas. There was no way for me to make that a smooth transition. But hey, I got my revenge on that werewolf. It's at this point that I found out the witch is actually Keira Metz, who's the subject of another trophy, Friends with Benefits. Huh, what a suggestive name. I wonder if that'll be indicative of anything later. Anyway, we first do her part of the main story questline, involving our first run-in with the Wild Hunt, outside of cutscenes at least. Their first named soldier goes down after a tough fight, but it was a suitably cool and creepy introduction to this faction. Anyway, now it's time to switch gears and do the Kira Metz trophy. First step, we need to see about lifting the curse on this island. It was a spooky affair, but a sweet one, with us returning the bones of a murdered girl to her mourning lover, so he can bury them and put her soul at peace. Man, it feels good to do good in this world. Oh. Well, he's dead. And she was a plague wraith. We've unleashed pestilence and death into the world. And this will never be addressed again. God damn it. Oh well, back to Kira, and now she's inviting us out to dinner. And by the looks of things, she's wanting a bit more than just some food. Really, I should have seen that coming given the name of this trophy, but hey, not that I'm complaining. It's here where we get to the final bit of the quest, a nice little conversation, where I told her to go to Kaer Morhen, so Kira can be safe and join us at the end of the game for the full crew trophy. Oh, and the funny thing about this conversation? It's apparently pretty easy to enter into a fight to the death with Kira, ruining everything for the rest of the game, based on the experience of my friend that did this quest and just straight up ended up killing her. Is this how gamers talk to women? Well, that storyline was a ride and a half, quite literally, but we got the Friends with Benefits trophy and contributed towards full crew. Awesome. Now we need to go after...
I'm looking for the bitches of Crookback Bog.
You looks like a bitch yourself.
Trust me, that title will be more than suitable later in this video. If I were to give a big breakdown regarding everything in this quest, and indeed every quest in the game, we'd be here for dozens of hours, so let me make this simple. We find this random old lady, then end up meeting the crones through this painting. The crones are evil old hags who command me to go kill an evil tree spirit. So I go kill an evil tree spirit, because I value the lives of a whole village of people more than a few random children. There are no easy choices in The Witcher 3. Jesus, they're ugly. I think I preferred the painting. We report back to the Baron for the final time, and we finally get his full story about Ciri, where we even get to play as her for a little bit. These bits of the game are decently fun. Ciri has a unique fighting style involving her teleportation powers, and these segments aren't too long, they don't take much away from your Geralt time. Her story in Velen involves running away from the crones, killing a monster or two, and making a bunch of friends that she promptly has to leave behind out of fear of the Wild Hunt. Okay, the mystery grows deeper, but the long and short of it is that she's not here, and she might be in Novigrad. Also, make sure you play Gwent with the Baron at some point. That's important because we get to take his Gwent card. We need Gwent cards. Jesus! What the fuck is that thing? It's hideous! God. Well, you can almost be assured that it'll be plot relevant later on. To wrap this all up in a neat little bow, we go to find the Baron's wife in the Witch's Swamp. Oh yeah, the Baron's wife? That's the random old lady that we met earlier. There are no coincidences in The Witcher 3. One big swamp battle involving a fiend and we win. The Baron, resolving to be a better man, takes his wife away to find a cure for her madness. Tamara joins the Order of the Eternal Fire, so basically a cult, and we're not that much closer to finding Ciri. Did all of my explanation make sense? No? Fair enough, it is pretty bloated, so here's the list of everything that I just did, and you'll see why that wasn't easy to narrate. It may have been after I was already 15 hours into the game, but I achieved the second story-related trophy for finding the Baron's family. Like I said earlier, this is how you do RPG quest design. It was such an expansive series of quests with twists and turns, compelling characters, and actually impactful choices. This is the point where I truly fell in love with The Witcher 3 and its style of narrative quest design. More developers need to make games like these. Imagine a game with Final Fantasy 16 level characters and storytelling, Devil May Cry level combat, and The Witcher 3's world and quest design. It'd be the greatest game ever made. Someone get on that before video games go extinct in one way or another. It was at this point that I finally reached level 11, and I finally got to use the sweet gear I found in a chest from Yennefer several levels ago. We're now playing Witcher Creed 3 Shadows. Before progressing through the Novigrad story, I wanted to clean up as many of the optional trophies as possible, the ones you get for killing a bajillion enemies in a certain way, as you do. I figured that if I got rid of them now, it would shorten the cleanup section of this platinum trophy hunt. Granted, if I'd done them later, I would have been able to do these trophies with stronger gear, but that's not the way that my destiny played out this time. A lot of these miscellaneous trophies are indeed combat focused, and all in all they're not too hard. Things like can't touch this become easy enough when you get enough damage to one-shot the 5 enemies in question, like these low-level wolves. Triple threat turned out to be easy once I found some more low-level wolves. Swords, signs, and bombs do the job just fine. Granted, my actual trophy footage was me madly running away from a lesson, but you can't deny the fact that I still earned what I got. Even odds was easier than I thought. In fact, I did it halfway by accident. You have to defeat 2 Witcher contract targets with nothing but your sword skills. No signs, no bombs, no potions, no oils, no nothing. I don't actually remember what the first one was that I beat, but the second one was this wyvern. If you're struggling with this one, just leave a low level contract for later in the game, then come back and stomp it once you're stronger. Easy. Yes, game, I know I need to find Ciri, and I know I need to go to Novigrad to speak to Triss. But these miscellaneous trophies, side quests, and Gwent games aren't going to finish themselves. Seriously, so much of my playtime was taken up by side content, and it felt totally organic. Doing these quests wasn't a burden, it was a privilege. They were all wonderfully designed. Admittedly, it did seriously bloat my playtime, but this was welcome rather than woeful. I took care of a lot of Witcher's contracts before going to Novigrad, such as Jenny of the Woods for example, because they give us a good amount of money, and it is remarkably easy to go broke in this game. Plus, I did need to get even odds before I ran out of contracts, so there's always a reason to my ridiculousness. I picked up the Bombardier trophy during this time as well. You just need to go to the Herbalist Hut, save your game, and then buy all these super expensive bomb formulas. You then just reload your save, you get to keep your crowns, and the trophy. We like to see some easy achievements here. Environmentally Unfriendly asks you to kill 50 enemies using environmental hazards. Huh, I really am YouTube's greatest detective, aren't I? This did have me running around a swamp for 5 minutes being chased by a dozen drowners several times while trying to kill them with flammable pockets of swamp gas, but I did have the sick beats of Banana Tiger to listen to in the background, so it wasn't that bad of an experience. Time to travel back to White Orchard for another trophy, Power Overwhelming, triggered for having every place of power bonus active at the same time. Seeing as White Orchard is the smallest map with the most easily navigatable terrain, it was the obvious choice. One quick sprint around the place on Roach and we were good to go. I think the effort took a lot out of my horse. You wait there, buddy. I'll go back to Velen by fast travel. Don't worry yourself. After cleaning up Velen's Gwent cards and every Witcher contract that I was of an appropriate level to beat, I finally decided to return to the main quest. After all, I still need to find Ciri. There's a trophy with her name on it. Oh, and she's also, Geralt's adopted daughter and the fate of the world is at stake. Probably should have said that part first. Time to get to Novigrad, the big city of this game. It's an awesome place. I mean, it's a terrible city, full of dickheads, discrimination, and crime, but it's stuffed with content. It feels so much more full of life than something like Solitude from Skyrim or Assassin's Creed 3's New York. The first clip I have of the city features me immediately getting harassed on the street by a religious man, but I then deployed the Uno reverse card on him, which I'm sure won't have consequences later. As you can see, we're here to meet Triss. I did not. I went to play Gwent. This got me another trophy, all in, for playing 3 hero cards in 1 round and winning the match. The hard part is getting 3 hero cards in your deck in the first place, but I've been grinding this game's collectathon like it's more important than Ciri.
It is.
So I had plenty to spare. Drawing them is just a matter of luck and using the spy cards. Again, this is why we play the Northern Realms deck. If I had $1 for every time I've walked into a brothel just to play cards, I'd have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Anyways, now we finally get around to meeting Triss, the other main love interest in this game. She's been a mainstay in The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2, neither of which I've played, so I have no bias towards her over Yennefer or vice versa, apart from Yennefer being canon. Still, impress me, Triss. Rat catching. I somehow think Yennefer had the better first date, and that was me getting put before the evil Emperor of Nilfgaard. Anyway, Triss is nice, and she will be very relevant later, but for now, there's more main story to get through. We help this dream sorceress called Corrine Tilly, where, through her, I find out about the majority of Geralt's past with Ciri, seeing as I hadn't read any books, watched the show, or played the previous games before The Witcher 3. Hearing that Geralt died at some point was a bit of a surprise, but hey, it's not the most absurd thing that could happen in this franchise. She sets us on the path to find Dandelion, a name I actually recognized, in the hopes of finding Ciri along with him. So, how are we going to accomplish this goal? Why, by hanging out with sweaty shirtless men, of course. Yes, this is relevant, bear with me. This is Siggy Reuven, or Dijkstra. He's a very important man, who we apparently know from Geralt's past. Either way, keep an eye on him. There's plenty of him to keep an eye on. He's a surprise tool that'll help us later. After a quick bathhouse brawl, we begin even more quests. When I say these story quests have layers, I mean it. I have 2 tasks. Find Dijkstra's treasure and find Horson Jr. in any order I like, but both must be done. I started with the treasure, and that led me back onto the hunt for Dandelion, because this quest and narrative design is really good with the way it overlaps. I gotta say, while not on the level of Batman Arkham Origins or Arkham Knight, I did really enjoy the detective work in this game, whether it be through the main quests or the Witcher contracts. Examining things with Witcher senses, hearing Geralt think out loud with his sexy voice, it made me feel a lot better about life, the universe, and everything. I got another trophy at this point in the game, Armed and Dangerous, for getting a full set of Witcher's gear, all 4 pieces of armor and the 2 swords. I chose the Griffin set for this purpose, because it was the first one I ended up finding all the diagrams for, and I was satisfied. Distracting groin guard aside, it actually looks quite cool, much better than anything else I was wearing up to this point in the game. So we're tracking down Dandelion by going through a list of all his old girlfriends. That's honestly about what I expected from a character like him. I then got another trophy, Dendrologist, and while the DLC has helped me immensely so far, here's where it's about to hinder me. See, you need to buy every skill in a certain skill tree. Easy enough. In the default game, the brown tree has 6 skills. With the DLCs, it now has 20 skills. Oh joy. No worries though, we just visit a merchant, make a save, buy a potion of clearance, use it, which resets all of our skill points, buy every skill, get the trophy, reload the save, and that's that. No harm done. We keep all our crowns and all of our actually desirable skills, and we're one step closer to that platinum trophy. Now, it's footage like this that poses a very important question. Do I suck at this game? First off, harsh, but yes. Second of all, please hear me out, I can explain. I'm playing like this for a reason. There's a trophy you get for using the Axii puppet ability 10 times and making enemies kill each other, and a trophy you get for getting 50 headshot kills with the crossbow. If you see me taking unnecessary hits or dragging fights out to use these tools, that's why. I'm trying to reduce the grind for the end game. I'm not just bad at video games, okay guys? You can trust me. The next quest along the main story involves us taking in Triss as a prisoner to the Witch Hunters, giving us a chance to get crucial information from their boss. Though I was already biased towards Yennefer at this point, I didn't want to see Triss get tortured. I liked her, so I thought I'd be clever and use Axii to protect her by mind controlling the main guard. Turns out doing a Jedi mind trick with a visible hand motion in a room full of magic haters is a very bad idea. Thankfully, as it turns out, Triss can endure the torture just fine. We got our information, and she murdered the bastard running the witch hunts. God, I wish I could have done it myself. Okay, that's enough main quest progression. Let's do literally anything else. Like Triss quests, for example. She's taking us to a party, so don't mind if I do. This party is particularly important, not because of any of the plot stuff or because of Triss herself, but because we have Gwent cards to win. Make sure you find these guys playing in the gardens, and win all 3 rounds against them, because each one gives you a unique card. After that, we can actually do the quests that we came here to do. Sorry Triss, but I did some basic research into the past of the Witcher franchise. I know about your manipulations, and I prefer black hair. I'm going for Yennefer. Right, after that pretty cool ball and after realizing I missed Yennefer, I've had my fill of the big city. I can only take so much discrimination at once. I want to see these Skellige Isles that I've heard so much about. Take me. No. Take me. No. Take me. Yes. To Skellige. Oh. Sure, why not? Assassin's Creed 4 came out 2 years before this game. Come on now, it's a bit soon to start paying homage to it. Oh look, it's a local.
I feel like slapping you.
Hey Yennefer, you looking good. I'm glad to see you again. This is a sad funeral for someone I probably should know by this point, but truth be told I wandered over here looking for the druid to take his Gwent card. Oh well, another time. I'm calling it. You're going to be evil later. No 2 ways about it. Sorry game, I've played way too many Scarecrow hallucination sections to be fooled by this for a minute. I do enjoy the banter with Yennefer though. I can already tell these guys are going to be quite the couple. Well, who knew a stuffed unicorn could be used in such a way? Yennefer, my beloved, I promise, I won't leave your side until Ciri is safe, and we have defeated the Wild Hunt. right after I do these side quests. You've gotta love the contrast here. We just unleashed a torrential storm on Skellige, used up a powerful magical artifact's single charge, and that's after we stole it from this druid's hidden laboratory in the first place, and after he's done shouting at us, he's still down to play Gwent. My man. After cleaning up most of Skellige's unique Gwent cards, I went back to Novigrad to keep finding Dandelion. I then met King Radovid. He's off his nutter, but he is useful, directing us to Whoreson Jr. I swear to God, as I walked into Whoreson's room, I said, "Fucking degenerate," at the exact same time as Geralt did. We're becoming of one mind. Fuck this guy.
Stop!
Of course I killed him once I was done talking to him. What do you take me for? I should also mention the progress I was making towards Brawl Master, the trophy you get for completing all the fistfight challenges in the game. It's pretty simple. You see a fistfight quest, you do a fistfight quest. Keep in mind that this is only the fistfights that actually have quests tied to them. You don't need to beat up every Tom, Dick and Harry who offends you during the main story quests. No one would really complain if you did though. Time to check back in with Triss, because it's now or never. No, I mean, that's the name of the quest. That's the next quest we have to do for her storyline. The mages have decided Novigrad is indeed a terrible place to live, and they want out, so we're going to help them. It's an easy enough quest, cutting down mage hunters, drowners, and even a vampire, and we say farewell to Triss at the end. Don't worry, we'll see her again, but Dijkstra isn't one to let us mourn the departure of our friend. He's more interested in progressing us towards another trophy, the one you get for helping to assassinate King Radovid. I told you this fat man would be important. We'll come back to this later. It's not fully relevant yet, but it will be. At this point, I finally got the trophy Enemy of My Enemy, for using the Puppet Axie skill to make enemies kill each other 10 times. It's a very useful ability, but not one I really use as part of my main skill set after this point. Back a few levels ago, while hunting for another combat trophy, I found my way into the PS5 upgrade's new side quests, which led me to acquire the Henry Cavill Witcher gear. While in Skellige, I finally reached a high enough level to actually wear this armor. This gear looks awesome, and it's actually quite solid, so I'm going to keep wearing it for basically the entire rest of the video. What can I say? I hold my fashion sense as a high priority. What better way to celebrate my new gear than to ignore the main quest for a bit longer and go do more Witcher contracts? Don't worry, Dandelion will be fine. We literally killed the only person who could have ordered him executed, so he's just going to have to sit there and wait for us to be done with our side content. While doing this spree of Witcher contracts, some of which are getting me unique trophies, I also got Fire in the Hole, which is accomplished by destroying 10 monster nests using bombs. If you can stand next to a monster nest and press X 10 times, you get this trophy. As it turns out, as I was unaware, there were new Witcher contracts added in through the DLCs and free updates after the game's release, and I did one of them. Skellige's Most Wanted, where you're cornered by a few monsters who want vengeance on witches, and you have a chance to defend yourself as a good witcher by listing some of the monsters you've helped or spared throughout your journey. This was a really awesome quest that properly established the true role of a witcher for me. A shame I still had to kill the werewolf who was unwilling to back down, but this was one of my favourite contracts. Turns out this didn't contribute to Geralt the Professional, seeing as it's a post-launch update and not part of the base game, but hey, there's more to life than just trophy hunting, if you can believe it. I then picked up Globetrotter soon afterwards. Discover 100 fast travel points, those green signs dotted around the map. Easy unlock, done organically as I explored the wonderful world and maps of The Witcher 3. Moving on. I completed a grueling alchemy quest, involving a kind succubus, a dangerous cyclops, and running several miles across the majority of Skellige, all so I could unlock the dialogue option to play Gwent with this drunken dickhead. I hate him. I hate him so much. Right, now we need to move on from that Gwent to more Gwent, specifically the Gwent we can find at the Passiflora. The notorious, the legendary, oh, hang on, it'll have to wait a moment, I need to talk about murdering a king upstairs. Yep, right, assassinating a monarch, I'll get right on that, sirs, don't you worry. Right after the GWENT Tournament. Hell yeah, this is what The Witcher 3 was building up to. Now, you may be wondering why a card game tournament is listed at a recommended level 26, but don't worry, it all makes sense. We meet our colourful cast of potential opponents, including Flirty Girl, Weird Man.
Don't come any closer, you pesty blueberry bastard! You eat nothing but leaf and tree bark, you twiggy bitch! I have seen Lushan with more meat on their bones, and they're made of bloody wood!
And just a chill guy. If you lose a single game, you're out of the tournament, but you can save between every match, so don't worry. The tried and true Baldur's Gate 3 tactic of quick loading works every time. But it turns out I just beat them all on my first try anyway. King of games, bitch. If you're wondering about my deck, it was Northern Realms, and stacked with hero cards with an emphasis on siege weapons. The basic strategy wasn't anything fantastic. Spam spy cards, try to spread out my resources over 2 rounds maximum, and used Foltest's siege power ability to clutch the final round. Honestly, I got much better at the game after the tournament was already over. I did end up adding a decoy card into my deck at this point, to counter my opponents countering my spies, and therefore I get to use them twice. It all makes sense in context, just play the game. I also used the tried and true method of physical violence when the elf got a bit sore about losing. Now, our prize money did go missing, and I needed to track it down, but winning the tournament against minimum million Pegasus was enough to get me the trophy. But we're already here, may as well see the quest through to the end. After all, I do like money. Oh hey, turns out he's not just a chill guy.
Fuck.
The flirty lady then offers us to play a different kind of game, and I was tempted, but doing a quick bit of research beforehand led me to find out that this bitch will steal your Gwent cards after you're done with her.
If she breathes, she's a thought!
Apparently this was patched out of the game after release, but I'm not taking any chances. This is serious business. In The Witcher 3, there are master level weapons and armor that can only be crafted by master craftsmen. Naturally. The swordsmith master craftsman is an elf in Novigrad, and I got around to doing his questline by now. It's absolutely worth it. The quest gets you a few good laughs, and it gets you a sweet new blade. Oh yeah, doing all this leveling up and questing, I should probably get around to freeing Dandelion, huh?
To slay beasts most foul, 'twas for this I was made. Shut up and fight.
There we go, done and done. Oh, turns out Ciri's not in Novigrad. Fuck. Oh well, guess we better get back to Skellige and back to Yennefer. In a little bit anyway. We tackle Zoltan's questline next, where we need to collect rare Gwent cards for him. At the end of the questline, he gives you a choice between crowns or keeping the cards, and you need to pick keep the cards. I know, this video has been majority Gwent, but it's fucking necessary. Card Collector defines your playthrough of this game. I love playing Gwent, I think it's very fun, but I won't lie and say that this was a very stressful element of an otherwise near-perfect Platinum Trophy hunt. I also managed to play Gwent with Zoltan himself, unlocking another Gwent quest, Old Pals. I beat our Witcher friend Lambert after completing his questline, then I got started on another set of necessary sub-quests, helping out the wannabe king killers, you know, Dijkstra and friends. Tracking down their other friend Tala was easy enough, even managing to talk my way out of killing the 2 trolls who were guarding him. I won him his freedom, then I won his Gwent card. Same with Vernon Roche. I helped him save his best soldier, then I took his best Gwent card. Yes, these quests are 100% necessary, seeing as we have that Radovid killing trophy to obtain later in the game. Speaking of which, helping out King Radovid by exploring Philippa's hideout is also necessary. Probably not a good idea to openly double-cross that madman. Sadly, we don't have the option to take his best Gwent card too. Yennefer, hi, it's been a while. Where have I been? Don't worry about that, and ignore the bulging pouch of Gwent cards I mysteriously obtained since we last met. It's time to do a bit more main quest stuff, this time involving necromancy. Damn, this is pretty intense. Pretty costly too. I guess no one had an amulet of Speak with Dead on hand, did they? Turns out Ciri isn't on Skellige either, so every single lead we've had turned out to be pointless. Or did they? Turns out there's one final clue we can hunt after. The ugly baby. Yep, that thing turned out to be plot relevant after all. There are no coincidences in The Witcher 3. Before we get around to that, it's time to do Yennefer's personal quest, capturing a djinn to undo a wish made by Geralt long ago in a book that I never read. However, I found the quest to be quite fun and unique, and it had a very sweet conclusion where I confirmed my romance with Yennefer. I may not fawn over this pairing like I do for others, but I was very satisfied by this ending. You can head back to the Emperor whenever you're ready, Yennefer. I've got business on Skellige. First off, time to fist some more men. In combat, of course. I took care of the final brawls that remained to me, unlocking a fight against Olaf, a champion of unarmed combat on Skellige. He's a bear. He's a damn bear. Surprisingly, I beat said bear easier than I beat half the men I fought up to this point. Was it because of my level? Was it my skill? Was it the easily exploitable bear moveset? Who's to say, but I won, and got a unique trophy for it. I found that while exploring more of Skellige, I encountered a new trend, that being randomly progressing the main plot or major questlines while simply trying to look for Gwent cards. No, seriously, I first found Yennefer on the docks at Bran's funeral while looking for Gwent. I found Ceres for her questline while looking for Gwent. I even found Hjalmar on an abandoned island while looking for Gwent. Gwent, a game that helps direct you to save the world. It was also during this Gwent seeking time that I started towards another trophy, admittedly by accident. As mentioned, I found Ceres and Hjalmar, and it was all for this trophy. Kingmaker requires you to help choose the next ruler of Skellige, by helping both of Kruk's children, and I found both of their side quests while hunting for children's trading cards. Funnily enough, it was during one of these quests that I put a baby into an oven. Granted, it was all for show and the baby was fine, but goddamn, that was a wild twist for the quest to take. By comparison, I just had to help Hjalmar kill an ice giant. How positively pedestrian. I also skipped most of his questline by just accidentally finding him straight away, rather than analysing clues and tracking him down the long and hard way. Frankly, I'm not sad that I missed out. It was during this time that another crucial event happened. I won the last unique Gwent card in the game that I needed to get for the trophy, through doing a pretty humorous side quest. At this point, I had 4 cards left to get. I needed to find 4 more merchants who were willing to play Gwent with me for the first time. I was near rabid at this point, desperate to get this nightmare of a trophy over with. I felt like Super Hands, except instead of obsessing over crack, it was trading cards. That's not to say there wasn't more going on besides card games. I got another trophy for detonating Dragon's Dream bombs using the flaming bodies of my enemies. That's a pretty metal statement, and it was honestly an easy trophy. I just needed to find people to sacrifice towards my completion goals. I also found the tools necessary for the Master Armourer questline, naturally by accident. I started that quest so long ago back in Velen, I wouldn't be surprised if the old dwarf had forgotten he ever asked me to get the tools in the first place. Upon returning to the main castle of Skellige, I was thrust into the ending of the Kingmaker quest series, and it was fantastic, a compelling murder mystery to solve the dinner time massacre. I decided to help Ceres because she has more of a head on her shoulders than her brother, and because part of her quest involved me putting a baby in an oven to defeat a Heim. I thought she'd be a better ruler, a decision that I stand firmly by. Oh, who would have thought? She is evil. Sorry, I've already seen Final Fantasy XVI's Annabella. You're nothing new. Didn't need any proof or Witcher senses to figure that out. Congratulations to Queen Ceres, I'm sure you'll do great. And I'll be back later to cash in the favor that you now owe me. But now is no time to celebrate. Now is no time at all. Because it was at this point, after running around the Skellige Isles for over an hour, travelling and re-travelling to every settlement on every island, sailing around and exploring every town-looking thing on the maps, it happened. I found my last merchant. I played the last game of Gwent. And finally, after all this hunting, after dozens of dedicated hours, after looking up multiple story spoilers, I got it. Card Collector was mine. When that trophy popped, I leapt to my feet and cheered. I was absolutely overjoyed, no hyperbole. Out of every trophy I've gotten for this game, hell, out of nearly any trophy I've ever gotten, very few of them have made me happier than this one. No more looking up story spoilers just to make sure I wouldn't miss out on Gwent cards. No more running around like a headless chicken finding people to play against. Now I could sit back and actually enjoy this game fully, and I intended to do so. What better way to burn off the stress of Card Collector than by completing the very last Brawl needed for Brawl Master? Oh, turns out it's against a troll. A troll who clobbered me. Ouch. However, one quick reload later, and I took him down, earning me a trophy that I fought long and hard for. I finished off the bulk of the other Witcher contracts I had yet to complete by this point as well, including a contract on a dragon. Truth be told, this one interested me, as I'd heard that witches don't kill dragons, it violates their code, or at least it does in the modern day. Thankfully, the dragon turned out to be just a forktail, so there was no moral questioning here, just good old-fashioned monster hunting. By this point, I'd also gotten the vast bulk of the trophy-related hunts out of the way too, such as Fiend or Foe and Ashes to Ashes. While on this hunting spree, I got back to the Master Armourer questline I mentioned a few minutes ago, where it turns out that our trustworthy dwarf is a fake, a fraud, much to the despair of Coin.com. This woman is the true Master Armourer, and she sends us on a quest to get Griffin Acid, which in turn leads us to a Witcher contract on a said Griffin. Naturally, we slay the beast, get the acid, and she crafts some proper solid armor. Much better than the other guys at any rate. Now we unlock her services and she crafts us some damn fine gear. Ah, it feels good to do good. Also, turns out she was a Gwent player this whole time. I could have lessened my suffering in Skellige so much if I'd actually just talked to her earlier. Ah, hindsight. Thou is cruel and heartless. Now for the final Witcher contracts. These are actually above my character level by quite a bit, but as it turns out, that doesn't matter as much in The Witcher 3 as it does in other games. I actually began learning how to play the game properly, using potions to buff myself, oils to enhance my blade, and of course, the legendary Witcher's tactics remained as effective as ever. You know, Quen, dodge, hit, etc. Cleaning up these two powerful foes was honestly quite fun. I'm glad I finished them off, and Geralt the Professional was mine. Again, it's really fun to play this kind of character. Most fantasy heroes hunt beasts as favors, or because it's the right thing to do, but it's literally Geralt's career. He's so professional and clinical about the whole thing, it's honestly awesome to witness. I also obtained the Mutant trophy not long after for filling out all possible mutagen slots. Just get to level 28, you unlock them all, and then you can get this trophy easily. And leveling up is not hard if you complete quests at the rate that I did. Let's take a break from all this productive quest progression to earn another random combat trophy. You know, the ones that I love so much. This one is Humpty Dumpty. You get this one by using Ard to make 10 enemies fall to their deaths. Every guide tells me to use Devil's Pit, a bandit camp with high ledges, just begging me to throw enemies off of them. But that pit is part of the Henry Cavill gear quest, and because I got the good ending to said quest, that place is now full of good guys and no bandits.
Fuck.
Thankfully, these 3 bandits just east of the herbalist's hut were more than willing to help me out. Another trophy in the bag. For the final thing on my list of pre-Kaer Morhen grind, I set about finishing all the horse racing in the game, including the special races done via quest in Novigrad and Skellige. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the horse racing in this game. It's just double tap X and steer across very predictable courses and you're guaranteed to win. Even stamina management isn't that important because the enemies all seem to slow down whenever you do, and I was able to deploy my superior blocking tactics to prevent anyone from getting past anyways. I lost one race during the entire game because I got shoved off of the track, and I promptly reloaded and beat it no problem. Okay, now it's finally time to get that ugly baby. Hey, I'm not being rude, that's literally the name of the quest. Hey Uma, long time no see. I'd say you're looking well, but honesty is the best policy. You utter freak. Finally, after so many hours since the tutorial, we can return to Kaer Morhen. Not only does this place keep the main questline going, a questline I'm actually willing to stick to for a little while, but it houses the diagrams for the upgrades of the Henry Cavill gear. I'm glad to finally get that off my quest list. Anyways, we progress through the main story quite quickly when we're actually focusing on it, helping out Eskel and Lambert with their tasks as we prepare to break the curse on Uma, and then we help Yennefer to do the same. When it's all said and done, we get some more alone time with my lady, and then we get a night with the boys where I actually turned down the chance to play more Gwent. Yeah, I know, I'm crazy, but playing it like an addict for the past 70 hours leaves a man quite tired of the card game, you know. And besides, I'd already taken everything Lambert had worth playing for. Tomorrow comes and we break Uma's curse, revealing him to be a somewhat handsome looking elf. Well, at least that thing wasn't Ciri. But he does tell us where she is, the Isle of Mists. But first, we're given a quest to gather allies to Kaer Morhen to prepare for the upcoming battle against the Wild Hunt. This is tied to the second most stressful trophy in the game for me, Full Crew. Turns out I needn't have worried. As long as you actually play the game and do a few important side quests, you'll get the trophy easily. Zoltan, Vernon Roche, Vez, Hermione, and Hjalmar all join quickly. We've already recruited Kira early in the game, and Yennefer will bring Triss later. Full crew, done and done. We also take care of another trophy at this point, Pest Control, earned by destroying all monster nests in Velen and Novigrad, or in Skellige. In Velen and Novigrad, there are 24 of the damn things. In Skellige, there are a total of 5. Guess which ones I chose to destroy. Now, the Isle of Mists, Ciri. Yes, story, very important. I went there immediately, only to fail the Dandelion Cabaret quest because I hadn't done it yet. So obviously I reloaded the save and I went to take care of that quest first. And I'm so glad I did, because this chain of quests was utterly fantastic. The way it turns from a light-hearted quest about helping Dandelion to start up his inn.
No, not the Crimson Avenger.
To a gripping murder mystery was brilliant. The twists and surprises actually got me, and by my own detective skills, I managed to get the true culprit. This game is a masterpiece. Okay, now it's time to get Ciri. On to the Isle of Mists. Aside from some foglets, we make it through this place relatively unscathed, and we find a house quite quickly. The house that may contain Ciri. Of course we can't just waltz inside, we need to save some dwarves first. Okay, am I a terrible person for laughing at this? Look at him, he just dies, so unceremoniously. Ah, poor guy. After a brief scare where Ciri seems to be dead, you know, Snow White and the 5 remaining dwarves style, she wakes up, and this was probably the sweetest moment in the game for me, in addition to the joy from getting another trophy. Seeing Geralt and Ciri together after so many hours of searching and several years in universe was super cool. You can really feel the bond that these two share, even after consuming very little Witcher media. I can only imagine that when I eventually catch up on the rest of the series and I replay the game, this moment will hit me even harder. A beautiful moment of affection between a father and adopted daughter. But of course, nothing good lasts forever. The dwarves steal our boat, and the Wild Hunt steals our moment. Back to Kaer Morhen. It's time for war. Alright, this is all really sweet. My heart isn't made of stone. I love seeing happy reunions. Let's hope things stay this way. The battle for Kaer Morhen may not have a trophy tied directly to it, but it is fantastic. It really feels like a mix of strategy and sacrifice against a much superior opponent. The pacing was awesome. Everybody got to play an important role. The enemies were engaging but not overwhelming. I loved playing through it. This is how fort battles in Skyrim should have been. But that comparison is not the point of this video. Ultimately though, there's an army of the Wild Hunt, and only a handful of us, and they wield Frostbite.
Now fly!
Oh, Vesemir, no. Rest in peace, old man. I genuinely didn't see that coming. Honestly, I was waiting for a moment like this. I've seen episode 1 of The Witcher with Henry Cavill. I've seen Ciri's power screams. I was wondering if she'd end up using them, and she did. It's devastating and scary stuff. You can see why she is both desired and feared by the Wild Hunt, and the burden on her shoulders brought about by circumstances beyond her control. Poor girl. But now is not the time to focus on her abilities. Now is the time to mourn Vesemir. I don't get easily emotional at video games, and The Witcher 3 didn't make me teary or anything like that, but this was a sad funeral. What made it worse was Geralt's line I heard during my second playthrough.
I can't cry. Don't know how.
One of the main thoughts going through my head at this point was that this really feels like the climactic ending of the game. I thought it was going to be honest. There was a trophy for bringing all the allies possible. We'd brought Ciri here after searching for 70 plus hours. The battle was excellently crafted, we had tragic character deaths, we had stakes, and yet we still have 3 story-related trophies to go. Huh. Well, I'm sure the rest of the game's story will be just as engaging. It will be. And the climax will be just as awesome as this. It won't be. Regardless on my thoughts of whether this battle should have been the true climax of the game or not, one thing is undeniable. We're in the endgame now. First, we have a snowball fight. This was sweet. The bond between Ciri and Geralt is one of the highlights of the game for me, even if you only really get to see it in the last third of your playtime. This is also a very important moment, as we'll find out later. Now for some mood whiplash, it's time for us to assassinate some ugly bitches. Ciri takes on the Crones of Crookback Bog, a battle I'd been hoping for. I wanted to slaughter these witches, and I got 2/3 of my wish, as one of them did manage to escape. But hey, it was a decent enough fight. Fun in a tough kind of way. My opinion would not remain in this state by the end of my playtime with this game. The battle with Imlerith was far more stressful, but far more engaging as well. I prefer fighting a powerful and deadly warrior to 3 gross old ladies, and Geralt's finishing blow on the man was brutal. I was glad to take on these fights, and it was satisfying to obtain vengeance for Vesemir. Now things are getting serious. We get the quest Final Preparations. I guess we're heading towards the final battle, huh? Bring it on. I want to put Eredin down. Despite barely knowing Ciri, relative to the overall lore of the Witcher franchise anyway, I was fully invested in protecting her. There was quite a lot of work to get done before the final battle though, so let's go through it step by step. Blindingly Obvious is the most important of the quests, as this quest has a crucial choice that can lock you out of a trophy. You go to rescue Philippa Eilhart from Dijkstra, and when presented with the option, you simply have to talk to him instead of breaking his leg. This is necessary because you get access to our next quest, and our last missable trophy of the game, Reason of State. Remember all those quests we did about assassinating King Radovid? Well, behold the payoff. Reason of State is a fun quest, where Geralt is once again made to do the majority of the work for these 3 schemers. Radovid is lured into a sketchy back alley and a major brawl ensues. This is a difficult fight, but it's more than doable at this point given that I'd already completed all of the Witcher contracts. After this fight, I got the Munchkin trophy as well for reaching level 35. Truth be told, I was worried about getting this one, seeing as I now out-leveled every non-DLC quest by quite a margin, and the higher level you are, the less XP you get from said quests. But turns out that the main story gives you about 1 billion experience points per quest completed by this stage, so we were golden. Another trophy in the bag. Of course, by the end of the questline, Radovid ends up dead. Though not at my blade, nor the blade I expected. Regardless, dead is dead, and it's time to celebrate. Right up until Dijkstra puts the fat and bastard in Fat Bastard, and tries to betray his allies. Naturally, I'm not a fan of this, and I'd already taken his Gwent card, so just as Dijkstra says I've outlived my usefulness, the feeling is very mutual. Witches may be neutral by nature, but I value the lives of my allies. That being said, I've had more than enough of politics. We've got our trophy, so let's keep getting this main questline over and done with, shall we? Yennefer's quest is tricky due to the massive courtyard brawl that takes place late in the quest, and the fact that I accidentally fell off a roof during the least intense chasing sequence in the world. But it was mostly harmless and mostly easy. As expected, Ciri's quest was very sweet. We find Dudu playing quite the character, we drop some accidental Geralt Riz, and help Ciri commit horse theft. Anything for our adopted daughter. Again, being a good dad to her is important. Make sure you do it. It's not difficult, and I imagine you'll feel like a bastard if you don't. Speaking of being a good dad, after you've saved all the sorceresses of the lodge in Novigrad, they want to talk to Ciri. I chose to let her go in there alone, to assert her own strength and dominance. Again, important choices here, even if they may seem inconsequential. Avalok's quest was trippy. I know The Witcher canonically exists amongst a plethora of worlds, but travelling through many of them was a very cool and unique experience. This world in particular was hauntingly beautiful, as expected of a frozen wasteland. This world was brought to ruin by the White Frost, which is something, I don't know. It's not entirely clear, but hey, I'm sure it won't be too relevant later. This elf guy, I'm sure he's more important in the lore, but all he is to me right now is a trophy. Convince Giels to betray Eredin. Done and done. Damn, this guy makes me feel a bit better about my drawing skills. Final preparations are done. Good, took us long enough. Now it's time to set sail for Skellige, and reach the final battle. Battle preparations? Huh? Didn't we just do our final preparations? Why is there more? Why are we? Fine, let's do more quests. Why not? They're my favorite thing to do. Okay, battle preparations. Let's speedrun this. Spend unnecessary time brewing the killer whale potion. Swim onto the Emperor's ship. Get him to release a sorceress. Done. Talk to Krak and tell him that I found Ciri.
Bring her to Kaer. She'll be safe here. And I must see how she's changed after all these years.
Talk to Ermion, then kill Madman Lugos. And not a tear was shed. Find out where the Sunstone is from this whale watcher. Make sure you don't mention Ermion to him, or the quest will take even longer to complete. travel to Avallac's lab with Yen and Ciri, where we find out a lot more plot relevant details regarding Ciri and the Elder Blood. It stresses Ciri out, so we blow off some steam via my favourite method, property damage. I can't get enough of seeing these two having fun together, it's so sweet. Travel to Skell's grave with Ciri. Technically, this is an optional step, but you'd have to be a complete bastard to say no to her request. Seriously, unless you're trying to go for the bad ending on purpose, why would you do this? Do you have no heart? Now it's time to get the Sunstone. I guess Geralt wants to evolve his Helioptile. Philippa does some magic, and some bitching, and some magic bitching, but we get what we're after. Finally. Obviously, I'm enjoying the game, and the quests and the story are as engaging as ever, but it really feels like at this point it was stretched out a bit further than necessary. They could have handled the pacing a bit more delicately. Again, we just did final preparations. Why are we still doing more preparations? In any case, every kind of preparation we need is done. And now, it's time to end this. The final battle. Whereas the battle for Kaer Morhen involved gathering allies, using strategy, and had a feeling of desperation, this battle is just kinda go onto the bad guy's boat and then kill them. Cool, I'm down for that. At least I would be if Geralt hadn't immediately been frozen solid. It doesn't feel bullshit either, it's a pre-established power of the Wild Hunt. These guys may not be the White Walkers, but they're still pretty damn cool. Now it's Ciri's time to shine. She gets a power up, somehow, someway, and cuts through every enemy in her way with ease, fighting against Caranthria to save Geralt and friends before we lose all too easily. She may not slay the Wild Hunt mage, but she does free her dad, and now it's time for Geralt to finish the fight. Caranthria was easier than Imlerith, as expected of a mage forced to fight in a melee battle. God damn, this really is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Okay, battle's still raging, we haven't drowned yet. These are generally considered good things. Time to move. No! Croc! Eredin, you bastard. He was one of the nicest guys in the game to me. But at least I already won his Gwent card. For that, for your crimes, for what you've put Ciri through, you will die, Eredin. Let's do this. Okay, that's the only attack of yours that can actually hurt me. Take two. You fool! You are no match for the power of Whirl and Quen. And now, after all this time, all this build-up, all this struggle, Eredin just kinda dies. We beat him in a sword fight, and he dies. That's it. That's anticlimactic? I expected a more cinematic struggle, or some sort of necessary power-up, or teamwork from Ciri, Yennefer, and Triss alongside Geralt to beat him, but nope. I just dodged, queened, and hit him with my sword, and we won. Enjoyable boss fight, but I feel like something may have been missing here. This is the first Platinum Trophy hunt I've made where I can't put in some sort of epic musical montage. I don't know how to feel about this. Oh shit, but it's not over yet. That sneaky elf Avallac has stolen our Ciri, and now he's opening the portals between worlds. Now this feels like an exciting climax. We rush to his tower, struggling with steering our horse. Some things never change. We reach Avallac, sword in hand, only to find that Ciri is fine. She wants to do this, and that Avallac is helping her. Huh, what do you know? In case you're a bit lost, Ciri has gotten Avallac to open a portal between worlds, and she plans to make the ultimate sacrifice to stop the White Frost for good. A noble and tragic goal. If I knew what the White Frost actually was. Yes, it was showcased in that world that we visited with Avallac earlier, and that is an awful, terrifying fate for any world, that much is clear. But maybe if this had been built up more throughout this game, if I'd learned more about it, I'd understand this urgency a lot more, and it would feel less like it came out of nowhere. This is the first time where I heard anything about Ciri's destiny being to stop the White Frost, and it's at the very end of the game where it's now become relevant. Regardless, I chose to support Ciri in her journey, and I got a moment of her struggling through the frost, getting a series of sweet flashbacks to her good moments with Geralt throughout the game. She pushes onward into the storm, and it's over. Again. I really thought we'd play as Ciri one more time, or something. This game really knows how to cut short a climax, huh? Cheeky bastards. Anyways, now we're back in the Emperor's house 2 weeks later, and Ciri is dead? What? How? That's impossible. We got the good ending, didn't we? In spite of all I complained about the conclusion involving the White Frost feeling like it came out of nowhere, this was a gut punch to me. You're telling me that after everything we just went through, finding Ciri, fighting the Wild Hunt, her stopping the White Frost, she's just dead? Just like that? However, once we made it to the remains of the old Nilfgaardian fort in White Orchard, where the music was giving me lots of nostalgia for a time period only 3 months ago, and I got that silver sword from that blacksmith, I knew that Ciri was okay. This was quickly confirmed as we visit the famous inn from the start of the game and we find Ciri herself, giving her a promotion to a full-on Witcher, complete with, finally, a second sword made of silver. And just like that, it's all over. The journey is complete. Nilfgaard won the war, Skellige is thriving under Cerys, and Ciri is a Witcher, which you could have guessed if you'd just watched the trailer for The Witcher 4. As you can see, Geralt and Yennefer have retired. Their journey is over as well, and I think they've earned a happy ending by this point. Except, Geralt's journey may have come to an end, but ours hasn't. The Platinum Hunt carries on. Except I really wish it wouldn't, because what follows next is a whole lot of tedious grinding. Now we begin the cleanup, and we start with Master Marksman. This is the trophy grind I was dreading the most throughout the game aside from Card Collector. Crossbows do scratch damage in The Witcher 3, and I've got to kill 50 enemies with a headshot, in a game with wonky headshot hitbox detection. That's why so much of my gameplay footage was me darting around with the crossbow aiming for people's heads like an idiot, because I was really hoping to get this trophy done during natural gameplay. But I failed, so we're here now for the grind. The most popular grinding spot in the guides is the Devil's Pit, containing 9 to 10 bandits, but I already cleared that out and turned it into a good place during the Henry Cavill quest, so we have to improvise. I went back to those low-level bandits by the herbalist's hut and farmed them for like 12 minutes, getting some headshots, or at least I think I did. It's kind of hard to tell, there's no in-game tracker to see how many people you've actually killed with the elusive headshot. Clearly this wasn't working, or I was keeping count very poorly, so a new strategy was required. With the help of the internet, I found one. I bought a potion of clearance, I tracked down an upgraded crossbow diagram, and I travelled to Skellige, where I found 2 infinitely respawning warriors, ripe for the murdering. See, the build suggested revolves around using signs to weaken these 2 idiots, and hold them in place, and having your skills fully stacked towards crossbow damage so we could get critical hits to the head, which guarantee a count towards your 50 total headshot kills. So, I saved the game, drank the potion, reset all my skills towards crossbow damage and quicker stamina regeneration, chucked on the Griffin gear for further stamina regeneration, and equipped my new crossbow. After all that effort, which took me at least 20 minutes to prepare by the way, I was ready to grind. At most, it would take me 25 cycles, but I was prepared to stick it out. Here we go. I got the trophy on the next enemy I shot in the head. So glad I spent 1,000 crowns and all that time for basically nothing. But truthfully, the relief upon finally getting this trophy was more than enough reward for me to ignore my frustration. To conclude our list of tedious combat trophies, we just have Overkill to get, and our 2 infinitely respawning jackasses will suit our purposes just fine. At first, this trophy looks quite intimidating. In reality, it's pretty easy, despite all of the requirements. You just need a Devil's Puffball bomb for guaranteed poison, Igni for almost guaranteed burning, and the tracking bolt for your crossbow for a 100% chance to bleed. Except, don't do that last part, the game is trying to deceive you. For some reason, this bleed doesn't count. You need the Broadhead bolt from Oxenfurt. Let me just travel across the sea and back, and go back to this cliffside, just to get some new bolts for my crossbow. It's easy enough to attain the trophy once you actually have everything you need. Throw bombs, cast Igni, shoot bolts. Meditate to restore your bombs, the dudes will respawn, then rinse and repeat, reloading your save if you get close to running out of crossbow bolts. I got the trophy in rather quick fashion. Thank God, this grind is really starting to take a toll on me, mainly due to the utter lack of number tracking, so you can't keep track of how many enemies you have left to go. Now, after all this time, there's only one thing left to take care of. An entire second playthrough of the game. On New Game Plus. On Death March difficulty.
Fuck.
But don't worry, this is just a speedrun playthrough. We have a secret weapon on our side.
Got work to do. Your reflexes are still...
Maybe for a Witcher.
Think drowners.
Turns out, this game is both very hard and very easy on New Game Plus Deathmarch. On the one hand, everything will kill you in like 2 to 3 hits. meditation doesn't restore your health, and enemy health bars are sometimes larger than your mum. But we get to keep all of our special weapons, our special armors, and more importantly, all of our potions and skills. Besides, we still have our special Witcher tactics. The first story fight with the ghouls was a wake-up call. My first fight with a pack of wolves was my first death, and then I decided to get good and play the game how it was intended. Part of me wishes I'd just played Deathmarch for my first playthrough. Apparently it's the optimal and enjoyable experience, but I was on a time limit here. I'll get back to all of that later in my life. Turns out when you skip the majority of the dialogue and know where to go and what to do in advance, the game goes by quite quickly, in terms of the main story at least. Even the combat doesn't slow me down that much, I just need to stay switched on and watch out for enemy attack patterns, keeping my queen active and using my potions and oils. By the time I'd completed Family Matters and made it to Novigrad, the hardest fight had been against the Pest on Fyke Isle, but that's mainly because the wraiths are the bane of my existence. I still beat it on my first try through patience and caution, and I was still wearing my fairly low level Henry Cavill armor. Style over saving my life, you know? I also took the time to play a bit of Gwent here and there, just for kicks. What? Addictions are hard to break, don't judge me.
Yeah.
I can confirm. Ordinary humans and groups of small animals are the hardest challenge on Deathmarch. The whole game honestly went by really smoothly. I traversed the world quickly, strategized where I needed to, and still ended up with Yennefer because British accents are nice. The only real roadblocks I found were mainly groups of humans that had a tendency to one-shot me, especially if they had ranged attacks, and groups of small beasts that had a tendency to three-shot me. But using positioning, potions, and the right build was an easy way to avoid any untimely deaths. I found Ciri in a hurry this time. And then I made it to the infamous battle for Kaer Morhen. I figured this battle would take me ages, but no, I died once and then it was over within 20 minutes. In fact, I think it went a little smoother than my original playthrough on normal mode. However, we then arrive at the boss battle against the bitches of Crookback Bog, and the only roadblock in Deathmarch that fully made me angry. You have to fight these three old ladies who teleport around the small arena, 2 to 3 shot you, sneak attack you, hit you from behind, hit you from ranged, and who take ages to kill. All of which you only have 3 possible attack moves and only 2 of them are actually useful in this situation. I enjoy playing as Ciri, but I did not enjoy this. It took me 55 fucking minutes to beat these 3 old crones. God damn. By contrast, the fight against Imlerith, which I had heard horror stories about, was easy. It took me a few tries, I got one shot plenty of times, but I eventually resorted to the ancient Witcher tactics, and it worked out just fine. It took me a total of like 10 minutes to beat him. How do you like them acorns? Final preparations. Minus a hard fight against every enemy in the damn prison courtyard, these quests went by smoothly. Minus the battle to assassinate Radovid that took me around 15 tries because archers are bastards. Battle preparations. Minus a hard fight against every enemy in Madman Lugos's front yard, these went by smoothly as well. Seriously, large groups of human enemies, at this point of the game, with archers, are more dangerous than the biggest of wild monsters. As a bit of trivia, while on my Deathmarch playthrough, I accidentally got 2 DLC trophies without even really having to try. The first was to win a round of Gwent with an absolutely absurd power level, and the second was to be under the influence of 7 potions at one time. Hey, I'm not going to complain about extra achievements, it'll make things easier when I eventually go back to see those DLCs through. And now we enter the final battle, on thin ice. Facing Caranthea was easy, thankfully. Ciri's plot-relevant power-up made piercing through the peasants in my way a breeze, and her part of the battle was resolved quickly, nothing like the battle against the bitches of Crookback Bog. Geralt had similar success, using every potion I had to ensure my survival, and I took down the mage in quick fashion. Eredin, on the other hand, on normal mode, he was a so-so difficult, pretty fun final boss. On Deathmarch, he's a frustrating one-shotter, like most enemies in the game on Deathmarch really. Get hit by his magic, you die immediately. Get hit by his sword, he breaks your Quen, and then on the next hit, you die immediately. Try to refresh Quen while he's already attacking you, you die immediately. However, I am not one to be deterred. And, as it has so many times, the ancient witch's way came through for me. It's done. Ciri saves the world and becomes a witcher so she can star in the sequel. The Empire triumphs once more, Geralt and Yennefer get their happily ever after, and I finally get my Platinum Trophy. It's over, gamers. 138 hours. Countless hours of awe-inspiring exploration and challenge, a few moments of confusion and rage, and overall, an unforgettable Platinum journey. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is incredible. It's simultaneously hard to believe that it came out in 2015, 10 years ago, yet it feels like a game that could only exist 10 years ago. You can feel the love and care put into every part of this RPG. The quest design is utterly phenomenal, the best I've ever played. The main story and side quests had so many branching paths, twists and turns, meaningful consequences, it left me both awestruck and inspired to better my own works. The story was ultimately simple in concept, but the execution was so effective. Even knowing very little about the world of The Witcher or any of Geralt's past adventures, I was fully invested. Geralt of Rivia is one of my favourite main characters now. It was such a pleasure to play through his eyes during this experience. The combat is simple on the surface but really quite deep, with multiple different builds and playstyles available for you to try out against a truly amazing variety of enemies. The combat system is slower and more deliberate than what I'm used to, but once you get used to it, it's utterly masterful. The world maps are fantastic. Everywhere feels so alive, so full of content. Enemies to fight, dungeons to explore, quests to find, beautiful views to enjoy, and I haven't even seen all of it yet. That's partially because the world is just that full of things to do, but that's also because there are 2 whole DLCs that I've yet to experience. Yes, I have Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. No, I will not be playing them for this video. Frankly, we've been here for long enough already. This sets a new record for my video length. However, I'd be more than happy to go and 100% those for a sequel video if you guys enjoy this one. Do let me know down in the comment section below. I've heard nothing but good things about them, and if they're as high quality as the Witcher 3 base game, I'm in for a terrific time. In summary, you were right, random commenter. I should have played The Witcher 3 long ago. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad I could experience it now, in its best form. It's an unforgettable experience, one of the greatest games ever made, and the Platinum Trophy was certainly one to remember, for better or for worse. Overall, there were only 2 trophies that really drove me mad: Card Collector and Master Marksman, the latter more than the former. Card Collector would be far less stressful if I ever decided to get it for a second time, perhaps for the PS4 version of the game that I still have, but Master Marksman was utterly awful. At the very least, give us a counter so we can see how many enemies we have left to kill. Jeez. Besides that, the game mostly just asks you to complete its content, and that's the best kind of Platinum Trophy. Seeing Kaer Metz, killing King Radovid, assembling all your allies for the Battle of Kaer, helping decide Skellige's ruler, these are all great parts of the game, and the trophies just give you extra incentive to seek them out, as they should. Same with the Witcher contracts. The trophies associated with them are just extra motivation to tackle these very fun monster hunts, getting rewards both in the game and outside of it. I'm telling you, if Final Fantasy XVI's monster hunts were as good as The Witcher 3's, it would have been a Game of the Year contender for sure. Then again, it should have already been a contender, but that's not the agenda I'm here to push in this video. The litany of miscellaneous combat trophies honestly weren't that bad either, once you know what you're doing. With the exception of Master Marksman, all of them were very doable, and they didn't stress me out. Though again, please give us a tally of how many of these things we have left to do, I'm begging you. Overall, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's Platinum Trophy gets a 9 out of 10. 138 hours of gameplay, 2 full story playthroughs, a personal 8 out of 10 difficulty rating, and it was an honor to earn this platinum for the game's 10th anniversary. I can honestly say that I recommend you to take up this challenge if you're a fan of the game. Don't be intimidated by Deathmarch. Simply have faith in yourself and your skills, and walk the path like a true Witcher. Thank you everyone so much for watching through this video, and almost more importantly, thank you so much for waiting. I know I've been gone for a long time, tiding you over with YouTube shorts and poking fun at idiot grifters, but this is the type of content that I truly want to make, and I hope you can understand why my absence was so long. I mean, the game was 138 hours to platinum, and this video has an absurd length, so I think it's a little justified. I also had a kickboxing fight during this break, where I did end up losing, and my face ended up looking like this. but it was a good experience, and I intend to be doing it again at the end of the year. Now, the next video will also be taking a while to come out, but that's for good reason. As we speak, I'm currently playing through Doom the Dark Ages, and likely having a fantastic time. So my next video will either be a boss ranking or a platinum trophy hunt on that masterpiece. After that, my video schedule will open back up, so pay attention to my community tab for potential votes on what comes next. And as always, if you have an idea, leave it in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. It really encourages me to keep working harder on my content. If you think that I've earned it, consider checking out my Patreon to help keep the channel going and get exclusive video sneak peeks and voting powers. With all that said, I think we're finally done here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.
Fuck.